If you play Dungeons and Dragons online, I have a question for you. What is the number one way to play online? Is it Roll20? Maybe it's Discord, using a voice chat and a dice bot. And I'd ask if it's Tabletop Simulator, but let's face it, it's not Tabletop Simulator. Regardless, if you answered any of those three, I hate to break it to you, I really do, but you are dead wrong. It is not a subjective answer. There is only one true path to playing Dungeons and Dragons the right way. It's backed by researchers and scientists all around the globe, and it's the way that the original creators intended everyone to play. Unfortunately, while they were held back by the technology of their time, you aren't. So all you have to do is strap in and get ready to learn to play Dungeons and Dragons online in the best way possible. On Minecraft. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons on Minecraft for the past 7 years, and I have absolutely zero regrets. Everything that the other online options lack, Minecraft not only has, but it also excels in. Now you might be saying to me, come on, Dungeons and Dragons in that children's sandbox game? And I just have to ask you, what is Dungeons and Dragons if not its own sandbox game for man-children? The combination of the two is obvious, the systems work well together, pretty intuitively, and there's an endless amount of reasons to make the switch. However, I'm just going to break it down to a few of the bigger points, so the next time you're going to play Dungeons and Dragons, you're going to open up Minecraft instead of a lame old web browser. Now, in terms of the benefits of playing Dungeons and Dragons on Minecraft, I'm going to start with the most obvious one: combat. Minecraft revolutionizes the way that you can run combat in Dungeons and Dragons. You can build fantastic battle maps and get your players immersed in a full 3D area as opposed to the 2D areas from the other online options. Cave ambushes, tavern brawls, forest skirmishes. Anything you need, you can go ahead and build. What's that? Your web browser you play D&D on doesn't let you have clear elevation in combat? Not a problem in Minecraft, baby. If you don't want to spend $100 on that adult black dragon mini, well, you get a couple free in the game, along with some other ones like a slime for a gelatinous cube or skeletons and zombies for undead. Perfect for any encounter. Plus, your players can run around the battlefield, get a better look at everything going on, think more dynamically, and you don't have to wait for them to stop scrolling on their phone when it comes to their turn. Minecraft just makes combat so much easier to run and that much more fun to play. If you're looking for something to make combat more dynamic, you've got it right there. But if you want to take it even a step further, we can apply these same characteristics onto the rest of your world. If your players are entering a tavern or a crypt or a castle, you can actually build the interiors for them or the actual outside as well. You can go even further than that and actually show them the city that they're in. And if you don't feel like building one, don't worry. There's free to download ones online, several of them for you to use in your own campaign. If you want to make your own dungeons, you can do that, as big or as small as you want. Hell, I made the whole Underdark caverns for my players, but all you have to do realistically is just make tunnels from room to room. And hey, if your players get access to a keep or an estate, you can actually let them participate in decorating it so it feels more like home. You can also add a couple of other small things to make the world feel a little better. For example, you can set the time of day, you can change the weather, maybe it starts raining during a hectic battle, I don't know, it's your game. And also, depending on the strength of your player's PC, they can also use shaders, which is an add-on that just gives more natural lighting and generally makes the game look prettier. And if you need more immersion, well, if you're tired of looking at Steve, you can have your players put on skins that represent their characters. These skins can be created by the players, or they can look at the endless catalog of them online and edit them to their liking. This lets your players really express how their character looks, and you can even show off the evolution of a character like this. For example, one of my players changed their skin to represent new magical items she was acquiring, and it showed the progression of her character throughout the campaign. My favorite part is everyone being able to see each other's avatars and seeing actual representations of other people's characters. Minecraft gives you an opportunity to literally world build and make your game that much better for you and your players. You get to build a really fun and interactive experience for them, and not just in the literal sense of actually building it. If a player is struggling with the theater of the mind and needs more visual references, or if they just want to be able to play in a new and creative way, you can give them that experience using Minecraft as the medium in which you play Dungeons and Dragons on. I would go as far as to say that it's not only the most immersive online D&D experience, but maybe the most immersive D&D experience, period. And that's coming from someone who has played only like 5 sessions in real life. So I could be off base there, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say I'm right. Alright, I've sold you on the idea. You want to play Dungeons and Dragons on Minecraft, but you don't know how to start. Well, it's actually very simple and doable for just about anyone. First, obviously, you and your players are going to need a Minecraft account. But let's be honest, it's the best-selling video game of all time. If you don't already have it, something's probably wrong here. But here's the first decision. Are you going to be playing on a public server or your own private one? If you don't want to spend money or just want to try it out, a public server is 100% as viable as a private one. The upside of a private server is just that it has no limits in terms of space and how you can interact with the world. You can also get something called a plugin on a server, which is basically an add-on that can give you some more options. However, if you're on a public server, that can be more than enough, and it's not necessarily necessary for you to have a private server to play D&D in this way. Personally, I began running D&D on a public server called Hypixel, and after a few months of trying it out and deciding I liked it, I made the switch and decided to get my own private server. If you're not completely sure yet about committing to playing D&D this way, or maybe you just want to try it out, public servers will work 100% of the way through. Now, one of the main things you're going to need are NPCs. I say this because although you can build monsters if you want, to show a humanoid creature, it's usually easier to show a player model. On a private server, all you're going to need is a plugin called Citizens that lets you create these player models, apply skins to them, change their names, and a bunch more. If you're on a public server though, you can either use armor stands with heads on them, or if you're on Hypixel, you can use the NPC tool that they have built into their plot system. Next, you're gonna need something to help you build a bit faster. This is optional, but I do recommend it because it can be a lot of help, especially if you're trying to do something large or grand for a final battle. If you're on a private server, you can use regular commands that Minecraft has built in, or get a plugin called World Edit. Personally, I recommend World Edit because it lets you do far more than just setting large areas to a particular block. You can randomize them, create shapes like spheres, and copy and move around different things. Some public servers do have the option to use World Edit or have their own version of it like Hypixel does. Again though, it's not entirely necessary to have something like this, it's just helpful. Finally, you're going to need something to keep players in a particular area or keep them from breaking things. On a private server, there's a plugin called World Guard, which lets you designate areas that your players can walk through. This is generally just nice to have if your players are in a city and you don't want them running around everywhere. If you're on a public server though, you can use barriers, which just takes a bit of effort, but generally is pretty easy to do as well. You can also do this on a private server if you don't really like using World Guard. Down below, I have all the links for these plugins for the version 1.17.1, so if you want to download them, you can download them there. And if you've got all that, all that's left from there is to just go ahead and start building the battlefield, or even more, depending on what you want to do with this medium. Now that's technically all you'll need, but if you want to go past this skeleton I've given you, I've got some suggestions on how you can make your world even more immersive. Since not every D&D session is going to be the same setting, or maybe you're not running D&D specifically, you can use something called a resource pack to change the visuals of the game to fit what you're going for. These resource packs can help transform your world and make what you and your players see vastly different than what default Minecraft looks like. You can use it to play in different settings ranging from westerns, cyberpunk, or if you're feeling a little adventurous, maybe medieval fantasy. To use them, all you need to do is either find one of the many that are free online, or create your own. After that, you just need to have you and your players download it. If you're on a private server though, here's one slight advantage. You can just have the server automatically set the resource pack so when your players log in, they automatically have it instead of having each and every one of them download it themselves. Now let's say you're an artist and you're interested in using resource packs for your own game. You can actually do a lot more than that. You can actually go even further than just changing textures and models that exist in the game to even create your own model. For example, one of my players created a resource pack for me that includes several custom models of monsters that don't exist in the game. Here you can see creatures like Displacer Beast, Rat Kings, a Beholder. And if you're feeling constrained by the options on Minecraft, you can even use a special resource pack that has custom item textures like this one, which adds even more decorative options to the game that you can use. Now, if you want to go even further than that, here's a few things that can make your game a little more fluid to run. First, if you don't want to use a Discord bot or a website to roll dice, you can get a plugin that helps you roll. One of my players coded one that even makes special effects when you roll a natural 1 or a natural 20, but there are free ones online that you can download. I can link one below in the description. That player also made me a plugin that tracked movement of players during combat, so we didn't have to use carpets anymore, but carpets are a completely fine way to do it if you don't have somebody who can do that for you. There's a whole bunch you can do to keep extending the medium of playing D&D in Minecraft to make it all the more interesting and immersive to play. I can get into all that and maybe into specifics of things that I've already mentioned in a future video if there's interest, but for now, I just have to say, while I'm a huge advocate for playing Dungeons and Dragons on Minecraft, I can understand it's not for everyone. And generally, the same rule applies. You play however you want to play, despite what my introduction may have said. However, Minecraft for me has been the best medium to play Dungeons and Dragons on. It's not clunky or limited, and instead it's completely open to your imagination and allows you to go as far or as small with your scope of using it as possible. I hope the next time you're planning your next campaign with your friends, you'll consider hopping on Minecraft to play D&D just like I did 7 years ago. Thank you, and if you're interested in more from me, I'm going to be making more videos on Dungeons and Dragons on topics like world building, campaign stories, and ideas for your game. So subscribe if you'd like to stick around for that. Bye bye.